GTA 6 like casino heists done IRL. They're not going in guns blazing. They're counting cards. So let's watch it and see how they do it. Yeah, they got that AI technology on their
This is the story of Project Firework, a card counting trip where 4 Team Strike members...
A little behind. I watched this series a lot. He's been doing this for about 2 or 3 years, maybe 4. Definitely been doing it for a while. But he hasn't dropped a video in like a year. And so this is the first video in a minute.
Play high stakes blackjack in the US. You'll follow us as we win and lose tens of thousands of dollars, and casinos take drastic action to stop us, the likes of which we'd never experienced before.
Beat the odds.
In August 2023, our card counting team, Team Strike, had demolished Vegas in just 10 days, ripping $138,000 from the casino's cold,
in 10 days, that's a lot of bread.
Hands. Okay, that's a bit much. Ripping $138,000 from the casino's room temperature alive hands. We had done a bold approach, hitting Vegas hard and causing quite a scene. That left me $20,000
Vegas
richer.
Is known for how
that means for every hour I played blackjack, I
like
personally earned $771 in pure profit, bar coffee expenses.
So they got
well and truly outstayed our welcome in Vegas. We'd hit the point where casino staff were backing us off by name, often just as we sat down to play. It was fun, but I was glad it was over. It felt like we'd pushed our luck and had been close to pushing it too much. So when Irish hit up the group chat suggesting a spontaneous US trip at the end of the year, I was excited. There are so many places we could play. California with its incredible weather, Colorado with breathtaking views, Florida, Illinois, Oregon. So many amazing places. So much more to see from this amazing country. So many casinos that we'd never stepped foot in, that hadn't had the joy of hearing Irish's questionable Australian accent, that hadn't experienced the delight of seeing my badly dyed eyebrows, that hadn't had the pleasure of hearing our list of justifications to decline giving our ID. So many opportunities, an almost unlimited amount of blackjack games to play. I couldn't wait to see what Irish had in store. Where would we go?
Yeah, where y'all going? Where y'all going? Where y'all going? Back to Vegas, baby.
So, we went to Las Vegas again.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that. Vegas is,
on this disastrous idea for a trip, we had the following Team Strike members joining us. Irish AP, famous for his passion while playing, managing this trip with Ultimate, who would help manage remotely.
The casino know who they are.
George 21, aka Anonymous. He plays for an ungodly amount of time. You'd struggle to find a pro with higher stamina. Myself, special talents including wearing disguises and a questionable American accent.
Probably go just on a strip, a little bit how they count cards in the process behind it, but that was in the earlier
videos. And last
videos.
but not least, Enigma,
so
Team Strike's newest team member. Can talk himself out of almost any situation.
If I don't leave right now, you're gonna arrest me. Absolutely.
And as I've come to see, is not fazed by casino aggression.
This is
the story of Project Firework.
It's like a GTA 6 heist.
This video is sponsored by Blackjack Apprenticeship. Without VGA, I wouldn't be a card counter. Becoming a card counter is a tricky thing, but not for the reasons people think. It wouldn't take you long to understand the basics. You could get the hang of the actual counting part relatively quickly, but that doesn't make you
if you want to learn how to count cards, go sign up for your class.
Just rebuild zones as any other most consistently. Also, rat holing. Using skills I learned as a magician, I'll teach you a simple technique to pocket chips. Blackjack Apprenticeship today.
Where all my scamming ass niggas at?
It's currently 20 to 7, which isn't too bad. Though I did not sleep
20,
all that
50,
time. One of the things I'm still kind of unsure about
cash.
what I'm doing is my disguises. Because this came together so fast, I've just grabbed everything
That's
I have.
a lot of luggage.
I haven't really thought about what
I mean, that's
do
the
to my
carry-on
appearance.
and the check bag.
I
That's
feel
not
like
a
leaving
lot.
the beard is kind of
It's a lot in
risky,
his check
given
bag,
my
There's about to be stuff.
beard fame.
Vegas is casino dense, so it's one of the best places to have a shared
I'm just trying not to
Being
no more,
together
though.
gives us all access to our
I like being
entire
able to hop off the
bankroll.
plane
In
with
this
my
case,
carry-on and just go.
$145,000 in cash. When team members are playing in different regions, there's a
How
chance
much?
that one player could go on a
$145K in
losing run.
cash?
Yes, even while counting cards. And then getting them cash is a challenge. You try getting the bank to let you withdraw tens of thousands of dollars on a regular basis. It won't go well. But I personally didn't think that those benefits outweighed the very real chance of us struggling to get ours in. Eventually, we came to a pretty logical compromise. We'd start in Vegas, burn it down, in the metaphorical sense, and then we'd split up, each going to whatever region we felt was best. My choice would be a much tougher region to play than I'd have thought. Foreshadowing.
Ooh.
This whole trip came about super spontaneously.
Tough
Irish
region.
Essence just said,
Turn left onto
where y'all think he went?
But because it came together so fast, I feel pretty unprepared in terms of disguise. Right now, I'm going to head to a Walmart.
I don't really
see
know
what
the
they
places
have
to
in the way
gamble
of
like
beard
that, so I
dye,
couldn't
just to
say.
take the
I couldn't
ginger
really
off my
guess
face,
where he
basically.
goes.
Another day.
Vegas,
Another
Atlanta
dyeing
City.
of the beard. Ooh. That's fine. Oops. This crappy disguise better work, because the first casino I was going to in particular could get me in a lot of trouble if I were recognised. The last time I'd been there, I'd caused
I'm pretty sure AI is smarter.
I just wanted you to know that you've got a customer here
change.
that's been here 24 hours and she hasn't eaten or slept.
Keep your opinion to yourself. Don't get smart with me.
I'd broken the first rule of counting: be forgettable. He surely sees thousands of customers, but he's much more likely to remember the guy he argued with. I found an empty table and sat down. The pit boss I wanted to avoid was nowhere in sight, but annoyingly, another one was. I'd spoken to her in my last session before things got too heated. Luckily, she didn't seem to recognise me, at least right now. I bought in for $200. Shuffle, cut, let's go. I bet one hand of $50 and one hand of $75. My first hand was a 17, not great when the dealer has a 7 as their up card. But my other hand was a blackjack. Blackjack pays 3-2, so my $50 bet returns $75 in winnings. Oh. I was handed $60 and my eyes immediately pinged to the felt. Blackjack pays 6-5. Oh! I forgot that Orleans has these scammy blackjack games. In 3-2 games, i.e. proper blackjack, you win 1.5 times your bet on a blackjack. In a 6-5 game, you only get paid 1.2 times your bet. This difference, believe it or not, is enough to make card counting useless. It's also a shitty scammy version of the game, where they're just giving you a pay cut for no reason at all. I'd love to sit here and tell you that I made a strategic decision to play the 6-5 tables for surveillance and the pit boss overlooked me as a counter, blah 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 blah, but really I just hadn't been observant. Dumb move. Although, I will say, I don't like how the literal rules of the game were covered by the cards. Spread them a little lower, please? Could have been worse, I guess. I could have played that table for a while before realising the early blackjack woke me up. I found a table that actually had a legitimate blackjack game and began. I started with one hand of $25 and one hand of $50. My baseline bet is really 2 hands of $50, but Irish and Ultimate had given us multiple bet spreads to work with. This gave us a lot of flexibility. We could move between them and mix things up. I love this approach. As long as I average out at 2 of 50 or lower, it's fine. The first shoe was a dud. No high counts. But during the second shoe, after the first round, I had a true 1, so it was time to raise my bets. I bought in for a couple hundred more and placed 2 bets of 100-ish. Being uneven with the bets also makes it seem like I'm betting whatever I feel like in the moment. My first hand, I had a 9, which I hit, giving me 18. My other hand was a 13, I hit, 16, I hit again, 24.
I don't know how to play blackjack.
The dealer had 17.
I'm keeping up, but I'm barely keeping up.
$15 richer.
Yeah, that's barely
the count had
anything,
risen,
boy.
so I bet 2 hands, $285 and $400. The difference between the bets was a little too big. It ups variance slightly. Long term, it's all fine, but in the short term, it means my swings are bigger. The dealer had an ace up, and given the count was above a true 2.5, it made sense to take insurance, placing a separate bet that the dealer had blackjack. No joy, $342.50 lost on the insurance bet. My first hand was a 15, so I drew a card, but bust. The second hand was a 19, an easy stand. The dealer drew a 5, then a 7, and finally a 10 to bust the hand. Given I lost one hand and won the bigger, and then lost the insurance, overall I'd lost $227.50 on that round. Lame. I had a couple more rounds that led to a modest win, before the count dropped back to the negatives. One shoe later, I caught a high count again, so I bet one hand of 200 and one hand of 100. I stood on both my hands, and the dealer bust. All these high value cards caused the count to drop, so I lowered my bet for the next round. But in that round, the count shot up. I placed 2 large bets, $375 and $465.
When he
As
says
I placed
the
bets,
count,
the
he's
dealer said
talking about the
thing
running
that all
count for like
counters
counting
hate.
cards, just so you know.
This is an announcement to the pit that big money is being bet. Different casinos operate in slightly different ways. For some, it's all on surveillance to catch card counters. For others, the pit bosses are more proactive. If they suspect someone is counting, they will make a phone call to surveillance and get the operator to prioritize running down the player, i.e., checking if they're counting. In this casino in particular, the pit boss being aware of large bets is never a good thing. I got a 7 and a 12, just what I wanted against a jack. I drew to 17, that would have to do. No sense hitting here. On my 12, I hit and got a 4. 16. Grim. 16 versus a 10 value card is a hit according to basic strategy, but with high counts, there are more high cards on the way than usual, meaning your odds of busting on a hit is higher. In other words, standing is a better move. Oh great! The dealer had a cheeky king of clubs under there. 20. Well, damn. Just another lovely reminder that even with card counting, you only win just over half the time. Card counting. Winning slightly more than average.
Just over half.
After that
time.
grim hand, there was a shuffle. In the new shoe, the count went very negative. I used the opportunity to switch table. We'll skim through the next few hands because they were unpleasant to experience and unpleasant to watch. Big counts, but big losses, and lots of rebuying. To top it all off, when I was losing, I saw just the person I really did not want to see. The pit boss that I'd gotten an argument with the last time I was here. He'd definitely seen me, but he didn't seem to recognize me. Hopefully, he hadn't made the connection. After my run of crappy cards, I finally got to actually do a bit of winning. I bet $350 and $300. My first hand was a 13, so I stood against the dealer 6. My second hand was a blackjack, and dealer had a 9, and then drew an 8 to bust the hand. The next hand, I bet $350 and $200. My first hand was a 9, giving me a good opportunity to double against the dealer 5. My 15 was a stand. The dealer drew a 5, then a 7, 17. That beat my 15, but my double had an ace, so I won $700 on that hand.
Ooh,
Another
nice.
15 minutes went by before I placed my largest bet of the session. One hand of 450 and one hand of 525. At that moment, the pit boss said, damn it, the highest count I'd had, and they were shuffling on me, meaning I didn't get to play the hands when I had a decent advantage over the house. An early shuffle can be done for a few reasons. Sometimes just the large bets are enough to make them nervous, and they'll trigger a shuffle just in case you're counting. I wondered if this would have happened if I'd stayed below the $400 mark. I did my best to not react. I didn't want to confirm their suspicions. But there was a chance that they knew I was counting, and this was a warning shot.
Yeah,
a hint for me to leave before they take further measures. I sat and thought about what my best move was. Should I stay or should I leave? If they didn't actually back me off, they wouldn't have to do a report. Without the report, they're less likely to be on the lookout for me if I go back another time. Before I had a chance to make the decision, it was over.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, can't play. Can't toss it out. Thank you.
Uh-oh. Got him.
I played for an hour and then I got a true 9, which is a really high count and means I have a huge advantage over the house.
So when he's winning heavily, that's what they tell him. They be like, bro, you can't play. You fucking us up pretty much.
Pit boss walked over and she said shuffle. So they shuffled on me. The pit boss that I got in a bit of a heated back and forth with last time I was there was the pit boss at my table. And he didn't remember me or he didn't recognize me. However, I did see him go and make a discreet phone call when I started raising my bets. So I think he did ring surveillance to get them to check my game. And 2 minutes later, another pit boss came over to me and backed me off. Actually wasn't a great session in terms of profit because there wasn't any profit. I lost for sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minus 5k, meaning I'm down. Oh, that's not so. It's actually not so bad at all. I'm only down $570. That's pretty good. Well, I mean, it's not ideal, but I thought I was down a few K.
All right, they down
Progress.
So far.
I took the opportunity to look at our group chat, and what I saw was a combination of pleasing and worrying. George21 had played Double Deck for nearly 4 hours before getting backed off. $4,050 in winnings, nice. Irish got over an hour at Mandalay Bay, plus $2,500. But his back off was rough. To quote his session report, little to no heat the whole time. Max bets on the last shoe triggered phone call, and when walking away, could see Pit Boss 30 meters from table and glanced at me. After 25 minutes of going to the toilet and cashing out, without issue, I was approached by a security guard and asked, "Are you then said my name was Brian and had no ID. 3 aggressive security guards then surrounded me and one took my photo. I calmly walked out. Bastards. Shocking behaviour. This was concerning. It seemed that we really must be in Vegas too early since last time. Not only had we not been forgotten, but it seemed like they were almost waiting for us. I was also confused by the amount of security, not how MGM properties usually do things. Something about the whole thing just felt off. So I made a phone call to a friend who might be able to give me some more info.
Like that, they're not about to let you just rock.
How's it going?
On the call, he told me that the way Irish was treated hinted at one of 4 likely options. That the casino thought he was aggressive and were concerned he was a physical threat. That he could be considered a cheater, that he could be on some kind of criminal watch list, or that he was suspected of money laundering. That wasn't the bad news. The bad news was, according to my friend, if it were any of those reasons, then it was likely he'd be put on facial recognition.
All y'all on facial recognition. Y'all been on that though.
Irish, the reason that you got a weird back off is that they trespassed you. I don't know if you realise that you've been trespassed, but they've trespassed you. MGM have facial recognition across all their properties. It means that if you walk into an MGM property, their face recognition is going to be, it's going to go off. So that's bad.
That's bad.
I updated the group and continued my plan to play Excalibur. Did I mention that Excalibur is also an MGM property? Maybe it was dumb to go there after the news regarding Irish, but I was set on Excalibur. Last time, I got a ton of playing time there with no back off. I was yearning for a repeat. I'd arrived in Vegas worrying that I would struggle getting hours in. I needed a good start to the trip, but given the news about Irish, I was nervous. Me and Irish are known associates on casino databases. If they're looking out for him, they could very well be looking out for me. Would I even make it to the table? What if I played and they refused to cash me because they could view me as a money laundering risk? I thought, screw it. They can back me off. I'm not doing it myself.
See, they money laundering?
The vast majority of card counters have a strict no alcohol while playing policy for obvious reasons. Because of this, it's almost become a stereotype that card counters will just drink water at the table. But I had a crafty plan.
It's your casino.
Do you do any alcohol-free beer?
It ain't like they illegally
a non-alcoholic beer. The image of a man who drinks with none of the inebriation. I'm a genius.
Casinos just don't like how they
I got it in a glass, so it wasn't in a non-alcoholic beer-branded bottle. I'm a genius. Excalibur only has 1 playable table. Annoyingly, the previous guy had left before the shoe was over, so I'd have to play through until the shuffle before I could start counting. This is called buying the shoe. Sometimes you can just ask for a fresh shoe, but doing so can bring heat, so I played it safe. I'm a genius. After playing for a few minutes, I got a true 1, so I bet 2 hands of $100. I was dealt decent cards, but the dealer outdrew me to 21. The true 1 stuck around for a while, and over the next few hands there were some losses, wins, and break-evens-ish. My favourite hand of this run was when I was dealt 2 6s on my first hand. I split and got a 5, and an 11 versus a 6 is an effortless double, and I got the best possible card, a 10 value, 21. My other 6 became 15, which I stood. My 2 kings of diamonds was a stand. The dealer drew a king of clubs. A 6 or higher would bust the hand. A jack. $400 win, $300 because of my doubles and splits. I managed to save myself a $600 loss when the count had increased and the dealer had an ace up. I took insurance, advantageous at a true 3, and it paid off, break even on the hand. And when I bet 2 hands of $325, my biggest bets in the session, counts hadn't been super high, I caught an 11 that I happily doubled. My other hand was a 16, that would have to do. Good thing for the double because the dealer drew to 20. Ah well, I'll take the win. Overall, it was a little bleak, and when the count dropped, I take the occasional break to save on rent. I've been playing for less than an hour at this point. The last time I played here, I did 6 hours without a back off, but things had changed.
See, that's how they get them. They ask them for the ID. You like, do you want to join the rewards program?
Can I finish this hand? You finish this hand when you're done.
Skipping straight to the back off without even insisting on the ID.
That session was pretty poor, to be honest. So far, I am losing.
They
sort
be
of difficult
quick.
to judge whether how I
They
look
be
right
so
now
quick
just
to
isn't
catch 'em.
different enough from me that I was just recognised, or whether or not it was because me and Irish were on a known associates list So as soon as they see Irish, they can be more on the lookout for me and other teammates. My sort of soft goal for today is getting 4 hours of playing time in. If I can get 4 hours, then it feels like a day well spent. Now I'm going to go and try a brand new casino that didn't exist the last time I was in Vegas and see how that goes.
So far, through a mixture of caution and just not super high count, I hadn't bet our maximum, but that would change in Durango. Just to interrupt myself for a moment, unrelated to this trip, I once caught a casino cheating, like actually cheating. If you want to hear that story and learn why I can't share it on YouTube, here's a hint: the mafia is involved, then head to stephenbridges.co/cheat. Durango Casino is part of the station's brand. It's not uncommon for a station's property to pick off a card counter in just 20 minutes, but Durango felt different. Stepping into the casino, it was clear they were going fancy. A quick Google showed that they'd poured $780 million into the building of this casino.
Damn, that's almost $1 billion. Round it up.
New casinos tend to be a little slower at catching card counters. George 21 had already played there for just under 4 hours with no back off, and Irish had played for just under 2 hours and no back off. This confirmed one of two things. Either they were still breaking things in, and as a result, not as sharp as their other properties, or their whole management style / operational style was totally different. In which case, we could throw away our usual stations approach and hit it a bit harder. Durango deals double deck face up from a shoe. Double deck is usually dealt face down. This prevents counters from counting other players' cards as they are being dealt. With counting, you're assigning a point score to each card different from its regular value. All the cards you see affect this score. You then take that score and divide it by the amount of decks yet to be played. So in double deck, you could divide by 2, 1.75, 1.5. That gives you a number called the true count. This tells us not only how much to bet, but also allows us to make better playing decisions. For example, if I have an 8 versus a 6, I should hit. But if I could see that the player next to me had a couple of small cards, it would actually make more sense for me to double my hand, because there's a higher ratio of high cards remaining. Point being, double deck being dealt face up. It's f***ing good. I looked around, checking out the different tables. I decided to avoid the high limit room, even though the rules were a bit better there. I wanted to blend in. I also wanted a table that wasn't too busy. I wanted to play 2 spots, but have another player. Ideally, so I wouldn't be the biggest better at the table. I got to a table and saw someone buying in for $3,000. Perfect. Playing with someone betting big can go one of two ways. It makes you stand out less, which is good. Someone else at the table is getting the attention, but surveillance are naturally more likely to focus on the tables with big bets. I bought in for $400 and started with 2 hands of 50. Mr. Big Money to my right started off with $50 as well. Hopefully, I hadn't just joined a table with a card counter. But when the count went negative in round 1, he upped his bet, so that ruled that out. I love people that change their bet sizes regularly. They help normalize the playing style that card counters have to adopt. Our entire edge comes from changing our bet sizes depending on the count. It's the thing surveillance are looking for. And if everyone were to change their bet sizes regularly, it'd make their job a lot harder. My first 2 shoes were negative. Sometimes I bet 2 by 50, sometimes 1 by 50, or 1 by 100. On my 3rd shoe, I finally got some positive counts. 2 spots of 250. My 14 becomes 17, my 17 stands. The dealer has a 9, although luckily for me, they drew a 3, then a jack to bust the hand. The counter dropped slightly, so I reduced my bets. Betting different amounts on each hand came back to bite me in the arse, because I bust out the hand I really would have preferred to win. Could be worse. Bigger count, bigger bets. 2 spots of 350. Not bad hands either against a 3, but the dealer drew to an outrageous 21. In the final hand before the shuffle, I got a blackjack and a 12. But the dealer had a picture, and guess what was hiding underneath? Ugh. Unpleasant way to end the shoe. The next high count I got, I bet 2 spots of 375. My soft 15 was a hit, an ace, that's not helpful. I hit again, getting a 9. The count wasn't quite high enough to justify standing on my hard 15, so I did what I needed to do, and took another card. Bust. My other hand was a 14. I had to hit, but wasn't feeling good about it. I got a 3, 17. I hoped for a low card underneath the dealer 10, but it was a 9. The next hand wasn't much better. You'd think my 2 17s would hold against a 6. The dealer had 14, 16, 20. Damn it. At least the count was rising.
That a lot more.
I bet $300 and $400. I got a blackjack. About time. My other hand was a 9. Against a 6, that's an easy double. And with a high count, I was eager to get the money down. A picture card,
counting cards is a whole language in its own.
The dealer made 12, and then bust the hand.
First of all, blackjack
a $1,200 round.
Then he's counting cards.
Just after this hand, I noticed the pit boss staring at me.
Staring hard.
I placed 2 bets of $300 and then added a couple of extra hundreds to one hand. I was trying to make my bets look casual, and I thought leaning into the different bet amounts angle would work well here. Although as soon as the first card was dealt, I realised I had underbet. I should have bet 2 hands of $500 on this count. Given the pit boss was staring, this certainly wasn't going to be the time I split tens, even though it's optimal at this count. It was one of those lucky times where my underbet actually paid off. The dealer drew to 19, beating my 17, but losing against my 20. Glad I put the 2 chips on that hand. But still, just because the result was good didn't mean I played right. I bet 2 spots of $500, they would be my last bets of the session. My 20 was an easy stand, splitting 10s against a 9 is a no frickin' way. My 12 is an obvious hit. I was hoping the dealer had a 10 underneath. A 2. Are you kidding me? The running count is a 4. Given how many cards are left in the shoe, the odds of the dealer's next card being a 10 and costing my team $1,000 was high. Not to mention that I was pretty sure winning this hand would finally take my session into profit. Anything but a 10.
What you get? What you get? What you get?
But a 10 was on the way. But not before the ace of diamonds to save the day.
Okay.
My high was short-lived.
All right, you got it on the last hand. You weren't supposed to be let in on that. You made a mistake.
All right, you got your last hand. You weren't supposed to be let in on that mistake. Yeah. I was confused by this. I didn't get what he meant. She didn't seem to have been told to stop dealing. Strange. Also, kind of a weird comment to even make. Are you trying to say that you're being nice by letting that slide? Like you could undo the last hand? Well, we've seen that before.
I said 2 cards of bill. There's a bill on the side. That's the pay out of
I don't know.
You got a blackjack and
You can take your play elsewhere.
I barely responded.
Okay.
I just pushed my chips over for the colour up. As I got ready to leave the casino, I saw that there were a couple of pit bosses talking while looking at me. They were looking at a phone. I could be wrong, but I had a feeling this conversation was along the lines of, see, it's that guy that makes the videos. I don't know why I made them sound like Kermit the Frog. On the plus side, at least I actually had a winning session. Alright, I'm still losing money for the day, but things could change as I was off to my last casino of the night, South Point. Another casino we hit on our last project as a team. South Point are very fast at catching counters.
Oh, really?
Why go there if they're fast?
Yeah, we're going to try it. What's the worst that can happen? And then, no more blackjack.
Why try that?
He's too good at blackjack!
They see a bet change, they call surveillance. And sometimes a pit boss will just back off a player because they suspect they're counting. But the game is solid. More double deck, dealt face up. Entering South Point brought back nice memories.
Let's go!
I don't understand why you're going to try them if they've known to kick you out fast.
This is the most fun I've had in ages. This is the highlight. I love you too, man.
But who am I? They know better than me. This is what they do professionally. I'm just a reactor.
But the jet lag hitting me hard and being by myself, I was feeling the contrast. I spent a while walking around because I'd run into a problem. The pit bosses I saw were the same ones who had backed us off the last time we were there. This wouldn't be a problem if it had been a year or two since we'd last played. But
How long
a few
has
months,
it been? A couple
different
months?
story.
Okay.
I text the group just to see if anyone knew when the shift changed. But no reply. Too busy winning, hopefully. Well, even though the odds weren't great, there was no point backing myself off. I might as well try. South Point has another nice advantage for counters. Most double deck games require you to wait for the shuffle before joining. This stops people from back counting, where you watch the game and only join the table when the count goes positive. Not playing neutral and negative counts significantly ups a counter's hourly rate and massively de-risks them. I only had to wait 1 round. The count instantly went positive, so I bought in and bet $200. I was deliberately going to be cautious with South Point. Some casinos look out for your bet spread, how different your smallest bet is from your largest, but South Point more just look out for big money. I decided I'd max out at around 2 hands of $250 to stay under the radar, and if that seemed to work alright, then I'd risk raising it. I was dealt a 15, I stood against the dealer 6, the dealer had 13, and then drew a 7, 20. My next hand was another $200 bet. I got 2 9s. You should split 9s against every dealer up card except a 7, 10, or an ace. The dealer has a 7, so just a stand. The dealer flipped over their whole card, revealing a 10. The count had dropped, but after betting one hand of just $50, it went back up, and I bet one spot of $250. It's rare to not cause a phone call, and betting a couple $100 here, lucky. My 19 against the dealer 4 felt pretty safe, and even though the dealer drew a 5, increasing the odds of a push, a 3 was next, and then a 10 to bust the hand. I was glad I was getting a few hands in at the 200, 250 mark. There have been times that I've played South Point and got backed off instantly betting less than that. So I felt pretty lucky that I'd got a few large-ish bets without any heat. It did help that the pit boss wasn't looking. In the next shoe, the guy sat next to me went to the bathroom. So when the count went up, I jumped at the chance to bet 2 spots. I won one hand and lost the other. It was a delicate situation. I should be betting more, but given the pit boss wasn't looking, the last thing I wanted was for the dealer to announce checks play, which happens when large amounts are bet, and then the pit boss see and reflexively back me off. I maybe would have risked it, but I would have also had to buy in more, and that definitely would have got the pit's attention. This is the drawback from my buy-in for a tiny amount plan. I compromised by betting 250 and 275. As the cards were dealt, I was just hoping that the pit bosses would keep doing their thing, not paying any attention to me. The phone rang, and as one pit boss went to take the call, another replaced him and looked directly at me. Great. I hit my 12, giving me 17. Against a 10, not great. My 14, on the other hand, I managed to turn into 21. The dealer had 20. Bleh. $525 bet to win $25. At least it wasn't a loss. The count had dropped slightly, but I kept my bets pretty much the same. After all, I was still under betting. I wish I hadn't though, because both my hands were worth a double. An 8 doubles against a 4 at a true 6, and we were just about there, if my deck estimation was right. And an 11 for sure doubles against a 4. No thought required there. At least I could buy in right now and not get backed off mid-hand. $1,100 at risk on this one round. The dealer had 14. Anything higher than a 7, please. Let me just win this round. The King of Spades, hell yes. This high was also short-lived. Another pit boss was now watching me. Okay, that definitely got their attention. I waited for the shuffle. Placed one larger bet at the start of the shoe, hopefully to throw the pit
Might as
bosses
well pack
off.
it up,
Most counters
bro.
bet low at the beginning of the shoe. Lost that bet, and then decided to switch table to get away from those pit bosses. I found my new table, sat down. After a round or two, the count increased. I only had one spot available, so I decided to bet $400 instead of the preferred 2 by 250. But one of the pit bosses from before came over.
Sir, no more blackjack. You play anything else? Can't play blackjack here anymore.
Only 26 minutes. Perhaps the reduction of bets wasn't worth it, but at least I'd booked a win, plus $1,400. I started the trip worried that we wouldn't be able to get time in, and I ended the day feeling that my fears were being confirmed.
Yeah, alright. Kind of miffed at the lack of time, but, you know, I've only done like 2 hours and 43 minutes. It's nothing.
Irish getting backed off by name, me getting less than 3 hours in for the day, and this was day 1. It felt like I'd been in Vegas for a week. We might have to move into a more aggressive strategy.
What does that look like?
It's time for the team graph. Well, my graph is pretty lame thus far. 4 sessions, and in that time, I lost $305. The team graph is a little nicer. 17.6 hours total between the 4 of us, $11,901 in winnings for the day. In the next episode of Beat the Odds, you'll see that downtown Vegas does not like to be messed with. There are big swings as we win and lose thousands. A team play plan that implodes, and casino security takes things too far. That episode will be here on YouTube on the 16th of September. But you don't even have to wait, because it's already online on my new independent platform, The Safe House. I made The Safe House because I was...
Okay. Shout out Stephen Bridges in The Safe House. Like I said, that's one of my favorite series. I like how they go in and are doing a heist. They're taking Vegas, the casinos, money for what they can. It's pretty dope. I would count cards. I would learn to count cards if I like blackjack, but I don't like blackjack. All right, y'all. I appreciate you rocking. It's your man, Smiles Badon, aka your homie CT.